Okay, time for the February TBR, and keeping with the theme of trying not to overwhelm myself and giving myself mood reading space, because I like that. We are only going to really talk about like the obligations I have for like book clubs, buddy reads, things I'm carrying over from the previous month, and maybe I'll talk about some other potentials that might make it onto my list. But February is a short month, and I'm already being fairly ambitious with the obligation reads. So I'm just quickly going to mention that I am going to continue Africa Risen, because I am for sure not finishing this by the end of January at the rate we're going. And I'm also probably still going to be working on the Open Veins of Latin America, both of which I've talked about on a recent Friday Reads if you want some thoughts about those. But they are both kind of my I read a little bit a day sort of books. Now into the stack of overwhelmingness, because it's just all on the floor over here. First, for my local book club, we are reading Girl, Woman, Other. We are talking about this like February 13th, so in the early half of the month I will be reading this. I have access to the audiobook, ebook, and obviously the physical book, because it was on sale for like $8. I have not attempted to remove this sticker yet. It's not going to go well. These stickers are notoriously difficult to remove. But I figure if I like it, I'll pass it along to the people in my family. I'm really excited to read this. This was first put on my radar because I read the Testaments on my first year of BookTube. I don't remember why I read the Testaments. I think it's because I read The Handmaid's Tale and I like the show. At least, I say I like the show. I haven't finished season 3. But, like, I had watched the show. And I was like, well, I'll read the Testaments. I have a rant review for that. That YouTube, every time Handmaid's Tale has a new season, keeps shoving in people's face. And then I just have to listen to people get mad at me for saying that book was so mid. And being angry because it also won the Booker Prize. The Booker Prize doesn't normally have 2 winners. It usually has 1 winner. And this is the first author to win it who is a black woman. And she had to share it with that very mid book. Like, very mid. Anyways, so that was when this was first put on my radar. I know Judith has read it and liked it, and I think it's I don't think it's a short story collection, but I think each chapter will be a contained vignette, and the vignettes will connect, and that excites me. So that's on the list. I guess keeping with the short story adjacent themes, when I finish Africa Risen, I'm going to be starting The Frangipani Hotel by Violet Cooper-Smith, which I loved Build Your House Around My Body last year, and I'm really excited for more horror from this author. I think it's like literary horror, maybe. Who knows? Short stories. I'm excited for it. I wish this cover was prettier. I don't really know what this cover's doing, but I really loved Build Your House Around My Body. It was one of my top books of the year. It was completely shocking to me. Ryan's actually excited to read this if I like it, because he also really liked the book, and we don't get to read things that we both like very often. So Evie and I are going to read this soon. It's our next short story collection, because we tend to, well, she tends to buy me a lot of short story collections, and then I'm like, okay, I guess we should read one, because we haven't in a while. So that's what happens there. Next obligation, at the end of the month, I think tentatively the last Sunday of the month right now is when we'll have the live show. And I don't know where the live show is going to be yet, but it's going to happen. But Leanna, Alex, Nieves, and I are going to be reading and doing a live show on Red Rising, which I actually have a Kindle. I just got this from the library because I'm like, why not? That way I can have a book to also physically read if I want. This was actually one of the last Kindles I bought before I realized the library was a thing. Like, it was like $2. So I bought this and Golden Sun. So those 2 I actually own, and I will have to get Morningstar from the library. But this is my reread, first time since 2018. So I'm nervous, excited. What I remember about Red Rising was that it was the perfect amount of brain usage for a plane ride. Like, it has like a really harmful school military setting. It's very tropey. This is very tropey, but it was tropey in a way that I liked. Like, I think if I use my brain too much, I won't like this reread. So I'm going to attempt to use my brain the appropriate amount, at least for this book. Mainly, I want to reread the first 3 because I think they're really fun. And then the second 2, Iron Gold and Dark Age, for that trilogy, and then Lightbringer comes out, I need to read that knowing that it's a very different project than this. They're very different projects. Like, they're focusing on similar themes, but they're written in a very different way, and one's way more serious. Like, this one to me was not nearly as serious. Like I said, tropey goodness. Except for, the trope at the beginning that it's so lazy. It's just such a lazy trope. That's my biggest thing about it, is it's just aggressively lazy, the trope at the beginning. But it's also, I think, on the back of the book, maybe. I don't really know. But I won't spoil it if you somehow haven't heard how the first 20 pages of Red Rising goes. So we'll be discussing this at the end of the month, and we'll be doing a book a month until the new one comes out. If you want to join, I think we will be having conversations in my Discord. So I don't know where the lives are going to be yet, but we're going to use my public Discord as like the home base for any Discord discussions. If you want to read along, I'll open those in February. I will open some channels for that. So that's one thing. And then for my Patron, we are doing a buddy read of a series this year. It's just every other month. So we did The Unbroken last month as just like our buddy read. And in March, we will do a different book as a buddy read. But in every other month starting in February, so February, April, June, etc., we will be reading a book in this series, the Sun Eater series. Woo! So shiny. Maybe I should... This is fine. This is fine, right? You guys can see? I'll just put up an image. It's fine. All right. But I got it from the library, and I have the Kindle. So I don't know if I should get the audiobook. Anyone who's consumed the audiobook of Empire of Silence, how is it? Should I be looking into it? We aren't doing the short stories unless, like, near the end we really want to, then we might read them. I'm for sure not reading the short stories, I think, as I go. I don't think so. I don't know. I'm already, like, overwhelmed about how big all these books are, and I know book 7's going to come out next year, I think, or book 6, and I think book 7's going to come out the following year, which is a pretty okay cadence for me catching up and then, you know, not needing to do a huge reread, probably, maybe, unless I love it, and then I won't care about doing a reread. I know nothing about Empire of Silence. I know it's, like, maybe not thematically, but type of genre-wise, very similar to Red Rising in that it's a sci fantasy. I know our main character is in a prison, maybe telling his own story. Is he in a prison? I don't know. He's telling his own story. I don't know how he got in trouble and got here. So a legend telling their story. It's a trope I like. But otherwise, I don't know. A lot of my friends over the course of the last 2.5 years on BookTube have really loved it. So I'm really excited that this gives me a chance to try it. It was on my series I wanted to start in 2023. So currently, unless we all tap out, this is the series we're reading this year on my Patreon. I don't actually know what the cutoff will be in terms of interest when we'll maybe vote on a different series to read if, like, people bow out. We'll just, like, gauge the room. But hopefully we'll like it. It won when I ran the poll twice, so, like, there's obviously interest. The last obligation... Yeah, we'll talk about this obligation first before, like, my buddy read obligation. My patrons voted for me to read, even though I knew the end. At least I'm pretty sure. When I last looked, it was up by, like, 70%. And, like, it didn't seem mathematically feasible for anything else to win. And I'm excited about this. If you haven't seen, I did my catch-up recent release roundup, which is a book series I do where I go through the bookish internet and I aggregate all the reviews and I'm just like, here's what the general gist is about these books and what's buzzy about them and what has and hasn't worked, sort of thing. In this one, I'm not a novella person. We discussed this. I have issues with novellas, not because they're bad, but just like it takes me as long to read a novella as it does to watch a movie, and sometimes I'd rather watch a movie. And this one, though, I'm hoping that because the people who love it, when they love it, it's because of these two characters on the cover, that if I feel that same way, I will love it. Now, if I don't feel that same way, fine, I'll probably just DNF it halfway through, because there's a potential that I won't feel that way. But I can hope. I can hope that I will love the relationship between these two, because that's why I read. And that's what makes a book worth it more to me than like a TV show or a movie usually, is because I can be more in that relationship. So we'll see if that happens for me. I'm hopeful. And then the reason why this TBR got like a little ambitious, a little fast, I mean, obviously those are a lot of things that I've just talked about. And, you know, Empire of Silence is a big book, but we are going to attempt to finish Wheel of Time in February. By we, I mean Stephanie, Roger, and I. I have 2 books left. We've got this guy, Towers of Midnight, which, like, this is aggressively too large for a mass market paperback. And somehow my stepdad read it without, like, really hurting the spine. And then Memory of Light. So these are huge. These, in case you were wondering, huge. But I'm, like, light at the end of the tunnel, want to finish Wheel of Time. Also, I think recently Sanderson, like, did this whole reveal about something in Wheel of Time that, like, I think I have to know all 14 books to, like, look into it without being spoiled or something. But I mainly just, like, I've been marathoning things lately, and I'm liking that energy, and I would like to do that to finish this, because then I can focus on other things, like Dandelion Dynasty and Malazan, because I'd have this off my table. So, those are all the, like... These are probably happening. I mean, for sure, at least one Wheel of Time. It might be one of the cases where the other Wheel of Time bleeds into March, you know, that sort of thing. And then, in general, I don't know what else I might get to. I might get to Vila Season 2, because that's a great podcast experience that I really enjoy. I also have for my South American project, The Cost of Sugar, right next to me. That could be something I'm interested in. And then, of course, for my bingo board, if I'm in the mood, I have these Freshwater and half a lion. So all of those are potentials. I've also been keeping my eye out for the Bone Shard Daughter audiobooks because I really like all the narrators for that. Like, they're all like favorite narrators of mine now. And I'd like to re-experience Bone Shard Daughter, that's what it's called, before I go into the sequel and third book, which I have arcs for all of them. I just haven't gotten around to the second or third book yet. But I might just want to do audiobooks for all of them, potentially, if I like the cast enough or immersion read it. So that could be calling to me. I do have Wall of Storm on my Kindle, but that's a thick book, and I don't think I can read Wall of Storm and Empire of Silence and 2 Wheel of Time books in February plus everything else. I don't think that's in the cards. I am excited, though, because I think if I get what I want done in the end of January, because I'm filming this with like a week left of January, I will have only like 1 secret project book left to read in February. So I won't have like other things in the background. I can really truly mood read. Not that that's actually been negative towards me, the secret project per se, but it's just like the freedom to do other things. But that's this TBR. Let me know what you're excited for me to read from this stack. I wish there was a little more sci-fi on it, because like I think my sci-fi is basically 2 sci-fantasies. But we also have Africa Risen, which is going to have a lot of sci-fi short stories. But I do foresee March needing more sci-fi to balance my life a little bit, just because there's a lot of fantasy here. There's a lot of fantasy. But if you want to leave an emoji, just let me know you're here. You don't have anything else to add, and you don't want to tell me your TBR. I don't know. Let's do a sun for the Sun Eater series. And also like Red Rising, like a rising sun. I feel like a sun works. I feel like either something red or a sun. Those are your options. Have fun. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.